Hello, I'm Shieldwall100 and welcome back to my channel for another Batman Miniatures game report. Today we're going to see a game between the Mr. Freeze crew versus the Batman crew, and I know we've had that fixture at least once before, but both sides are going to be sporting some new models, makes for some rather unusual matchups and freshens things up. I hope everyone's okay with that, but enough talking about it, we're going to have a look at what's in them now, okay? Back in just a sec. As we can see, the Mr. Freeze crew is sporting some new models there. The new reinforcements pack has been added in at the expense of one of the henchmen and the two polar bears. You can see Nora Freeze joining us as a sidekick, the engineer and the big old henchman with the great big bushy beard. And yeah, looking forward to getting these on. I wasn't particularly happy using the polar bears all the time. They're very powerful and very cool, don't get me wrong. Putting animals in, I'm just not a massive fan of that. Just my own personal thing there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these guys on. They've got some funky rules and looking forward to see how they work out. So having said that just now about animals, of course I've put some into the Batman crew side just to prove myself wrong. As you can tell, this is a fairly unconventional Batman crew because there's no Batman in it. We've got a great vigilante exchange going on, and as Batman himself is probably off on Apocalypse or somewhere else in the universe doing Justice League stuff, so Lieutenant Gordon's got to put up with someone called Peacemaker, an eagle and a lunatic in spandex called Vigilante to help him out today. Yeah, so there you go, that's why I'm kind of basing this loosely around. You can see the gaggle of cops there, so you got Lieutenant Gordon from year one but representing just a Gordon out on the street. Harvey Bullock there because I really like him, he's got good abilities, the GCPD detective and the mounted police officer as well, and then you've got Oracle as the leader of the crew, so to speak, for today, because she has the sidekick rank, so she can lead. Peacemaker, obviously not knowing who the person in his earpiece is, but she sounds prettier than Amanda Waller, so he'll go with it for today. Okay, and we're going to see how this hodgepodge goes together. But I'm very familiar with the Batman scoring deck, so hopefully it'll all be okay. Right, that's that. Let's get on to deployment and seeing how things shape up. Models are on the board, and just so you know, we're playing with the Vanguard deployment, so pretty much 12 inches in the corners there, and one model may deploy up to 4 inches outside, and for both sides it's their leaders, so there we go. So starting with the Batman crew, Oracle has gone forwards like I said. The rest of the models all nicely lined up in the back part here. Let's see, there's a couple of hidden models. Harvey Bullock has infiltrated somehow to the top of this building here, and the GCPD detective over here. Okay, for the Freeze crew's part, they don't have any special deployment rules as such, so they've all pretty much clustered back here around a sewer marker, so possibly some early doors, teleportations going on. Okay, right, let's get on to turn number 1. Okay, the take the lead and raise the plan phases are done for round number 1, and let's see what's happening, shall we? Right, first of all, no cards played in the first phase. However, in blue, Mr. Freeze lost to the forces of the law on the initiative, so the Batman crew will be going first. In the second phase, which is the raise the plan, unveiling the truth was played for the Batman crew. We've seen that before. They're playing it on the hiding GCPD detective, as we see him there, hoping he'll be able to score it maybe early. It's a lot harder to score nowadays. It's been FAQ'd. You can only get tokens for it towards its scoring criteria by revealing enemy suspects, not your own. Oh well, never mind. It makes it a lot harder to score. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. I still want to try it because, I don't want to just dismiss things out of hand. I'm not a knee-jerk reaction type of guy. Some people are, I'm not. Right, see who's got audacity. So on the Freeze crew, as you can see, Mr. Freeze, his wife, Mrs. Freeze, the engineer, want to see how she goes, and this henchman here, because she's got a cryo grenade. There's a healthy helping of equipment scattered throughout this, engineers and engineer training and cryo grenades alike. Yeah, so yeah, that'd be fun to use. For the Batman Crew's part, as you can see, the GCPD detective has one. There's his audacity counter. Harvey Bullock has one up here, and Oracle pinched one for herself, as well as Commissioner Gordon. Okay, the other guys are looking to probably just be moving up for the first turn, so not much use for suspect markers for them, perhaps. Right, that's it. We're going to get on to actually moving models now into the execute the plan phase. Well, kicking things off as we start, we went with the GCPD mounted cop. He has a nice long movement there, 14 inches forwards, and then popped down a suspect marker because he was inspired by the Oracle whispering in his ear, and that concludes the first activation of the game. Well, first up we're going Mrs. Freeze for her, and she had a pretty boring turn. She had audacity, she just used it to move up and pop down a suspect marker a little bit further up, but yeah, there's a reason for it, why it's so close to the rest of the crew, etc, etc. And yeah, so in doing so, she played a Freeze is Coming, a nice little one for the Freeze crew there. If they can get that timer down to 0, then they'll score 3 points. It's a bit of risk considering the GCPD detective is just tucked around the corner there, but surely he won't be so foolish as to get himself killed for that, no. Yes he would actually. Yeah, it turned out I made that rather a bit too tempting, so when I thought about it, off he went. The GCPD detective activated, sprinted round the corner. He's got a generous movement of 10. He has the detective trait, allows him to pick up suspects or put them down within 3 inches, so he's going to use his tactical action to pick this one up. Yep, that's him done. He then opened fire because he has a radio, so he's always inspired, so that was a freebie on the young lady here, and actually hit her for 1 point of blood, 1 point of stun, which I'll mark on in a moment. I forgot to put it on before I started filming, clever me. And that's him done. Yes, so having picked up the suspect marker, actually not only did it score the Unveiling the Truth, which was played earlier in the turn, for 2 points, it was able to play Comb Through Everything from the hand as well, for reveal an enemy suspect and cycle the deck a little bit, so pretty good. Not only that, also denies a 3-point victory objective for the Mr. Freeze crew, so nuts to that, I guess. That's a good swing, but he is looking very, very exposed. Okay, this young lady, Freeze Thug number 3, I think is her name, the white lady with the power glove. Anyway, she activated next without audacity, but with engineer training and inspiration, she had plenty to do. So if we remember, she was over here next to the sewer marker. First of all, she ordered the GCPD detective to drop it with her special action, and forcing him to put down a suspect marker, which does actually have bearing in the game according in the Freeze rules. So yeah, pretty useful despite the fact she made him put down his own suspect marker. She then used a freebie Manipulate due to being inspired by Mr. Freeze to move over here, and then with her handyman trait for engineering training, she popped down a suspect marker, allowing her to play a Freeze is Coming, the second one from the deck. See if this countdown reaches the bottom. Okay, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, and yeah, we're ready to move on. Lieutenant Gordon activated next, and he had a fairly interesting turn. He had audacity, he was all the way back here. He moved up, don't forget he's inspired by Oracle's presence, so he used his freebie Manipulate to move down into contact with this Freeze Thug here. He then ordered the, with coordination, his special activation to move the police mounted cop into base contact with her as well from over here, because he's got lovely movement, so she's now outnumbered. He was then able to use his martial prowess, his martial arts skills, with a couple of points of effort to help to knock her out by doing 5 points of stun damage, which is more than enough. So yes, she's out for the count. Could have taken away the suspect marker, but wanted to do damage. A bit greedy of me, but yeah, is hoping that works. And yeah, a Freeze crew model out. No cards scored though, but hey, let's see how it goes. Okay, this freeze thug with the twin short-range weaponry went next, and she was back here with Audacity, remember? So first of all, she did a special action to use a cryo grenade piece of equipment on over here, which freezes the suspect and gives this guy the cooled result, so he's on -2 movement. Yes, so the freezing of the enemy suspect enabled one of the Ice Age cards to lock down a Batman crew card from their hand, and that would secure the perimeter, so that one's out until a frozen suspect is revealed. So there you are. Already annoying. That's why you force the enemies to put down their suspect markers. Right, she then opened fire with one of her 2 rounds of ammunition, and with a really lousy roll, actually only did 1 point of damage. 1 hit got through. I think it's just the 1 point. Oh, it's a point of stun as well. Sorry, I'll mark a point of stun on him too, but I don't know if he's going to be here much longer anyway. But yeah, there you go. So, and then she used her movement to move up the board. Okay, and that's that for her. Oh, sorry, forgot to say, before she did this, at the beginning of her activation, she played Kingdom of Ice, a objective card for Mr. Freeze, and yeah, over the course of the game, when sufficient models have been damaged with the cold trait, that will score them 2 points, they'll be hoping. Okay, and that's that for her activation. Went with Vigilante next. He had a simple move. He didn't have Audacity. He just moved up to there, and then They Won't See Me Coming was played as a resource to give him an extra manipulate, which he used to put down a suspect marker. Okay, and that concludes his activation. Going with the new model, the Freeze Thug 5. He's getting in there. He has plenty to do, even though he doesn't have Audacity, because he has engineer training and cryo grenades. So, right, first of all, he used his manipulate action to move over here, and then he used his special action to throw a cryo grenade, which actually freezes this suspect marker and inflicts cold on these 2 GCPD officers. At the beginning of his activation, he played Endless Winter. It's a card which will stay in play until it's well, defunct or scored. 2 points. Mr. Freeze Crew has to freeze enemy suspect markers, Batman suspect markers, over the course of the game to score that card. So that's one to bear in mind for the future. Okay. Right, going to move on now. Unfortunately, he cannot do anything else. Didn't have Audacity, so no tactical actions for him. Unfortunately, he can't swing that axe. Well, Harvey has done some stuff. He had Audacity up here. First of all, he dropped down and then was able to move here. Don't forget, I think falling gives you impaired movement, at the very least, if it's not total to kill you, but it wasn't, so he was able to jump down for impaired movement, move over a little, waddle over a little bit, and then pop down then he used his detective ability along with his spare special action to remove this suspect marker. Now, because it's frozen, this enemy one that is, he had to use his special action as well to take that away, unfortunately, for them. And because he's got evidence tampering, he was able to pop down a suspect marker of his own in contact with it, which is quite fun. So yeah, that's Harvey Bullock's turn done. He probably would have liked to have done something like shoot or something like that, but unfortunately it took him extra just to he could have used order someone else to put down a suspect marker, but not able to do that because of the frozen nature of the suspect marker he picked up. Okay, no card score, but it does prevent another one of those major 3-point scores coming through for Mr. Freeze. Freeze Thug number 1, one of my personal favourite models actually, activated next. He didn't have Audacity again, but again, because he was inspired by Mr. Freeze, still got something out of his turn. First of all, he transported through the sewer marker over to here, near the Batman crew's deployment zone. He then opened fire on Vigilante, hoping to do some good damage with that heavy cannon, and well, unfortunately only hit once out of 2 dice. If he got a second hit, that would have been a lot more damage due to the exposure rule, but one was enough to do 2 points of damage and a stun, and take some of Vigilante's movement off and freeze the suspect marker next to him. So yeah, lots of effects there. Okay, and it did of course Ice Age another card from the objective pile, so they're back to having one there in the deck. Okay, right, that's that then. Going to move back now to the Batman crew. Well, Oracle got involved now, since she'd inspired everyone she could. Right, so she trundled forwards. Don't forget, she's an Intel support model. She used hacking to move this sewer marker over here. She popped down a suspect marker, I forgot to say. which, as you can see, is over here now because she used her hacking ability to move it over here. It's the Snitch, of course. We've finally got one in the hand for the Batman crew. Been cycling the deck like crazy to try and find it, but there it is. They finally got one, and it's looking pretty unassailable at the moment. Anyway, so that's that for her activation. She had audacity, and she used every single activate action she could. Mr. Freeze activated next. It's both leaders one after the other. He first of all casually froze this GCPD detective to death, and yeah, he's off with a stunning 9 points of damage. That was more than enough to see him off. He then stomped around the corner here and used his Ice Flash ability on Gordon, who passed his endurance roll, but nonetheless it was enough to freeze this suspect marker as well because of the Mr. Freeze crew rules, which is what we really wanted, because it helps towards objectives as well as it also locked down a Snitch objective card from the hand of the Batman crew. So yeah, that's really annoying. Okay, we're gonna now move on. Gonna get on with this turn. There's a few models left. The Batman crew were activated Eagly the Eagle next, and because of the Peacemaker's inspiring presence, Eagly not just because didn't have audacity didn't mean couldn't get inspired. Moved over to here and then put down a suspect marker 4 inches away from the other one, so it's legal, haha. And interestingly, as a resource, played Wait for Backup from the hand. I don't play this one as a resource very often. It allows a cop to come back as long as they're not a named one, like Harvey Bullock, for example. And so the GCPD detective, recently departed, has now rejoined us, albeit from the deployment zone of the Batman crew. Cannot activate again this turn though, but still, model back is always useful. And finally, for the Freeze crew, the Engineer went, and she moved up, popped down a suspect marker, allowing her to play Stay Cool from the objective hand, so to speak, as an objective. So for 2 points. Friendly model places a friendly suspect within 4 inches of an enemy frozen suspect. And ta-da! There it is, one right there. So all good. She then used her ability to manipulate and take off a couple of points of damage from herself because she's got the engineer rule, the handyman rule, and cryo armor allows her to do that. So bloody good. Check out those slightly tweaked and updated stats. The Mr. Freeze crew gets better and better. Anyway, that's her done and dusted. And finally, Mr. Freeze has actually scored some points. Haha. And the final activation for the turn is actually going to be one of the most possibly controversial, because I'm not even sure I've done the right thing. Peacemaker has activated, and he moved, so he's in base contact with this sewer marker, and then he would normally be done. However, I played Unveiling the Truth as a resource for the last resource point for the Batman crew. They're going to be picking up and removing that frozen suspect next to Vigilante, and he'll be using it to transport himself through here and into the right backfield, because I think he's a pretty destructive model, so putting him here should put him immediately among the cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say. So yeah, let's see how that works out. Oh god, I probably made a horrible mistake. Right, well, that's all the models activated. Let's go to the recount phase. Right, okay, recount phase isn't all done now, so right, let's see who scored what. So first of all, this Freeze Thug came round from being knocked out. She's endurance 7, so statistically it was just likely that it was going to happen. Anyway, right, so let's see which card scored. So on the Mr. Freeze crew side, they were to play Send Them to the Cooler for 2 points at the end, because there are at least 6 models within 4 inches of frozen suspects, and boy howdy are there. So yeah, that's 2. The Snitch easily scores for the Batman crew. So there you go for 3 points. Don't forget they got 1 lockdown, and then they've also got Secure the Perimeter that came up in their hand again. Lots of deck cycling for this crew today. They just need to remove 2 suspects. It'll be that one over there and the one next to Eagly over there. Okay, and that's that for score. So the Batman crew has obviously taken an early lead, but the Mr. Freeze crew does have, I think they're in a pretty good position. They've deployed pretty well. They've got lots of frozen suspects around, so yeah, this puts them in a fairly strong position, but we'll see how it goes. Never write off the Batman crew. Right, okay, we're back into round number 2 now, so let's see what's happened. Right, so first of all, in the take the lead phase, the Batman crew once again won the initiative just by 1 point, so close call there. Then in the raise the plan phase, 2 cards were played, one by each crew. Unveiling the Truth was played again. This time they're going with Harvey Bullock to do it, and Frozen Assets played by the Mr. Freeze crew, and there's the Frozen Assets. It's one of his spare guns. It's going to be picked up by the engineer right now because it's right in base contact with her. Right, oh yes, when it comes to the scheming, both sides have got scheming which allows them to play their suspect markers and move them around and whatnot. Normally I think both sides would get to do that, but because I'm playing solo, I'm just going to net result it off so that Oracle's scheming 3 overrides Mr. Freeze's scheming of 2. Allowing her to move 1 suspect marker right now. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to move this one, which was formerly a snitch. It's going to be moved just about there, and I'll swap it over. Okay, there we go. That's the scheming done. It's the only way I can make myself relatively sane if I do this, I think. So there we are. Right, so who's got Audacity? Well, for Mr. Freeze, we've gone with Mrs. Freeze, of course. Mr. Freeze, of course, as well. We went with this young lady here because it seemed to work pretty well last time. She's still got cryo grenades, and we're obviously going with Big Boy over here, Big Biffer. Yes, not going with the knocked down one because she's only 1 point of stun away from being unconscious, and there's lots of people with the rest around her, so I didn't think it was worth wasting it. For the Batman crew, Vigilante has a point of Audacity, get some use out of him. Bullock and Gordon both have Audacity, and Peacemaker has gobbled one for himself too, right? So let's get on with it. Let's see who's going to do some damage or score some cards. Well, Peacemaker took the first activation, because he wanted to, and this Vigilante exchange scheme is going really well. He levelled his gun at Nora Freeze and opened fire. It's got high caliber, so the first shots to go are attack dice rather than otherwise, rather than the strength dice, should I say. So the 2 firearm dice were going through. He used good aim to mean that the last attack dice also hit on 2s, and unsurprisingly all of them came up 2 or more, which meant 6 points of damage is done, and that's Nora Freeze dead, actually. Yeah, damn it. Nice new painted model. Dead. Great. I've got plenty of new painted models on the board, actually, so it was inevitable that one of them was going to kill another. And yeah, so that's that. It's a point of Audacity down for the turn for the Mr. Freeze crew, and that's that. There were no cards scored. He didn't score that time. Peacemaker didn't want to, help out at all or know her, hopes and dreams. He just wanted to shoot someone, and he did. He has got a movement activation now, so he's actually got enough move I pre-measured to get over here, just out of sight of Mr. Freeze, who's probably rather annoyed. Okay, well that's that for the first activation. Over to the Freeze crew. The Freeze Thug, who was hitherto knocked out, has recovered and stood up, and because she's got engineer's training, she's able to move over, and she's going to reveal this suspect marker, the frozen one from the Batman crew, enabling her to play Chill Out for 2 victory points. Reveal enemy frozen suspects. Easy peasy, 2 points squeezy. That does, however, allow the Batman crew to choose one of their frozen ice aged cards, and they're going to take non-lethal ammo and put that back to the top of their pile, as opposed to the snitch. Maybe there's a reason for that. I have thought about it. Maybe I haven't. Anyway, so there we go. And that concludes her activation. So she was ready to be arrested a moment ago, but now she's scoring points again. Lieutenant Gordon next. He had Audacity. He moved into base contact with the just moved thug. He then attacked her in close combat with his martial prowess and just got 1 hit through. She had a really bad defense roll, so 1 hit got through, enough to knock her out once again, and he used his special action to arrest her, so she is off the board again. So 2 models gone now for the Freeze crew and 2 activations. Allowed him to play Get Them Off the Streets for arresting her. Okay, so 3 points there. Nice staple score for the Batman crew. Bloody hell. So that's that. He then that was his activation. I was actually going to say he then used coordination to order this guy, but he didn't because he used his arrest action. Stupid me. Haha. So back where I was, but nonetheless a whole bunch of points scored, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? Went with Freeze Thug 1, who wanted to redress some balance actually. He played, first of all, from the hand Important Research, which is a 3-pointer. At the end of the next enemy activation, there's still an Ice Age card in the hand, and the only way they can get rid of that is to reveal Frozen Suspects, and that's the only one's over here. Then they'll score 3 points. Nice, but we'll get to that if it happens. Freeze Thug 1 with the heavy gun, he decided he was going to end Vigilante, and did, with 2 hits, enough just to kill Vigilante, and yes, that's a nasty one. So yet another new model dead. But yeah, obviously having all these free agents and whatnot on the Batman crew side is giving them rather too much killing power, and so needed to redress the balance somewhat. So there we go. And he then used his manipulate action from having a radio, so he's always inspired to pop down a suspect marker as well. Okay, and that's his activation. Harvey Bullock activated next, and what a fun turn he had. He started off over here with Audacity. Let's take that up. First of all, he used his special action to order Gordon to put down a suspect marker over here, using the detective ability as well to place it a bit further away, so that he was there. He was inspired by Oracle's presence, so he moved to the sewer marker and used that inspiration-based manipulate action to pop all the way over here. He then used his final manipulate action to pick up the suspect marker here, which belongs to the Mr. Freeze crew, sorry, and of course evidence tampering means he can replace it with one of his own. Lovely jubbly. The picking up of the suspect marker allowed a double whammy, because it allows him to score Unveiling the Truth, because Mr. Freeze just hasn't got that many suspect markers out, and comb through everything. So another double whammy of 4 points for the Batman crew. Very nice. And that's that for Harvey Bullock's go. Not a bad one. Mr. Freeze activated. He first of all, he decided he'd level his gun at the annoying Lieutenant Gordon. For their part, the Batman crew played non-lethal ammo for the first time, I think, ever on a video as a resource to give him cover, which turned out to be crucial, because one die didn't get rolled, and he was 1 point of damage short of being killed. So and that was on 2s. So yeah, yes, yeah. So as it is, Gordon survives. Gordon's alive. Yeah. So there you go. Then Mr. Freeze stomped forwards and popped down a cryo grenade over here to freeze this suspect marker, freezing up another ice aging another card from the hand of the Batman crew, which turned out to be Secure the Perimeter. Right, so also scoring Endless Winter straight away, because they've finally frozen enough enemy suspect markers. And also I forgot to mention, in the last activation, Important Research scored for the Mr. Freeze crew for 3 points, because yeah, the Batman crew just can't get rid of those ice aged cards. Right, so there you go. Nice scores now for Mr. Freeze. Things starting to come to fruition for him as well. The mounted GCPD officer, should I say, activated. He was inspired, so despite having no Audacity himself, he moved to here next to Peacemaker, popped down a suspect marker. No cards played, but does get him in the clear. He's in a good position to rove around now and cause havoc next turn, perhaps. The Freeze Engineer activated next. She was over here. First of all, she picked up the suspect marker, which the friendly one, the Mr. Freeze one, which was next to her, and she used that to cryo reinforce this lady here. So this lady's cryo armor goes up to 2, and also her short range weapons count as medium range weapons until this trait gets used again, which is pretty bloody good if you ask me. Yeah. So I like that a lot. Yes. So she then used her handyman skill to pop down another suspect marker, and this one's got a counter on, as you can see, because a freeze is coming. We've played it again. Let's see if this one can get through. Okay, and then she had a movement action remaining to pop over here, and she's just going to hover over that suspect marker, okay, menacingly. Right, that's her go. Okay. Going with Oracle next. She was over here. She played They Won't See Me Coming as a resource to give her an additional manipulate action to pop down a snitch. Hurrah! Yes, and there it is from the hand. It was in the hand, that's why they didn't need it again. So yeah, there's a snitch, and then she wheeled herself over here so she could inspire Eagly next turn. However, that works in your imagination. Okay, the new large freeze thug with the giant axe activated next, and despite being very tempted just to cut Gordon in two, he actually scored some points instead. He moved to here, he picked up the frozen suspect marker for the Batman crew, enabling him to play Chill Out for 2 points, because 2 points. Still think that the Mr. Freeze crew is probably scoring less at the moment than the Batman crew, and they want to be able to keep up. So he then he used his engineering training based manipulate action to pop down another one, and then finally used his special action to do his Snowstorm ability, which froze it immediately and did 2 points of stun damage to Gordon as well. So yeah, that's not a bad turn for him. He got some points and he's still well placed. Okay, that's him done. Went with Eagly, haha. Yes, he activated, and because he was now inspired by Oracle, he could use the sewer marker over here, at the back there, sorry, behind that building, and he's popped himself through here so he can be close to his best friend. Yeah, so there you go. That's his activation over and done with, though. Okay, this freeze thug number 2 had a nice full turn. She was over here to start with. So first of all, she at the beginning of her turn, Endless Winter was played from the hand to help them score when they freeze enemy suspect markers. Okay, so that's one that she played. She then from back here opened fire on the horse mounted cop. So don't forget her range has been upgraded to medium range from short, so yes, she didn't lose any dice at all. She actually only hit twice though, so just 2 points of stun, 3 points of blood on this horse, which was enough to freeze his suspect marker, and that's locked down another card with Ice Age. It's a what's it called? It's a non-lethal ammo has now gone. So secured the perimeter, snitch, and non-lethal ammo have all been taken out of the game. 1 copy of each for now. And yeah, so that's pretty nasty. Yeah. So and then she moved here and then cryo grenaded as well for fun. And that's that. Okay. She's pretty much done now. And but that said, when she actually hit him, Kingdom of Ice finally scored because so much damage, sufficient damage has been done to meet the criteria for 2 points, and this countdown has reached nothing, and so a freeze has also come for another 3 points in this phase. So Mr. Freeze really starting to accumulate now. And finally, for round 2, we have the resurrected GCPD detective, and he is inspired by Oracle's presence, and he's got a radio anyway. First of all, he popped down a suspect marker just here using his detective skill, then he moved, and that's his turn done, except for playing wait for backup this time as the objective. There you go. He has to be here. He rolled a 1, so it's a countdown of 2 or more. If he's still alive when that reaches 0, he'll score 2 points for the Batman crew. But we'll have to wait till next turn to see if that happens, because we have just, like I said earlier, finished the round's activations, and we're going to go to the recount phase and see where we stand. Recount phase is now done, and every model that could has taken off a point of stun damage. Okay, who has scored what, shall we see? Well, the Snitch has once again scored, so let's replace it now for another 3 points for the Batman crew. Lovely jubbly, those scores just keep coming. However, for the Mr. Freeze crew, they've also got some stuff. The frozen assets from the beginning, well, the engineer has certainly still got them, so that's scored. And again, from the hand, send them to the cooler has been played. There are at least 6 models within 4 inches of frozen suspects, and there are just, so we've got 3 here, 1, 2, 3, got the engineer over here for 4, and 5, 6, and leaving Gordon alive meant that more points came in for Mr. Freeze there, as is often the way in this game. You have to trade in the point scoring for the damage to the enemy, and it's a very tough decision sometimes, because if your enemy's dead, they can't score as many points anyway, usually. So yeah, we'll see how it goes though for round 3, which we're going to go into now. Both sides have been scoring lots and lots of cards hand over fist. The Mr. Freeze crew has locked down a whole bunch of points though in Ice Age, due to the Ice Age cards for the Batman crew. I don't know if that's going to be, telling or not by the end of the game, but hey, as I keep saying, let's see. Right, round number 3, and in the first phase, it's unfortunately for the Freeze crew, the Batman crew got the initiative for the 3rd turn in a row. Oof. So yeah, by a astounding margin, 6-1. Right, so cars to play and score. Well, for the Batman crew, Unveiling the Truth was played again in the raise the plan phase, playing it on Gordon this time. Near death as he is, he's still got something in the chamber, shall we say. Frozen Assets was played again by the Freeze crew for the second time, and they're going with this suspect marker down here to place it, so they're going to give it to a big beard man who's undamaged and probably very tough. So that's that for this particular phase. I think who has audacity? Well, for the Batman crew, we're going with the mounted cop for the first time. We're going with Peacemaker as well, Gordon and Harvey Bullock. For the Freeze crew, Mr. Freeze, of course, himself, big beardy Axeman, the lady down here who's been doing quite well with her audacity and guns so far, and the engineer. We're not going with this chap over here simply because he has a radio, so he's already inspired anyway, and he's got no ammunition left, so not an awful lot for him to do over there. Right, so we're going to get on to round 3's activations. Okay, we're going with Lieutenant Gordon, who's still got a lot to offer despite being on his last legs. He first of all he had audacity. He used his special action to coordinate with the mounted cop who's in his line of sight, and he ordered the mounted cop to attack this thug here. And after all was said and done, efforts were put in by both sides, but it was enough to knock out the Freeze thug, just, even though the armor was pretty good and everything, just enough to do the business. Oof. And yeah, there you go. So that's KO'd this thug here. He then used his movement. He then used his manipulate action and his movement action. He sacrificed his movement to pick up this suspect marker, this frozen suspect marker for Mr. Freeze, which released a snitch card from the Ice Age deck, locked down the cards, shall we say, and he played Harvey Bullock's card, wrong place, kid, for 3 points. Reveal enemy suspect marker at least 6 inches away from any of your models with the cop trait. So there you go, and there's no other cops around. They've all made themselves scarce. So 3 gorgeous points, and not only that, he's also scored Unveiling the Truth, because there's still only one other Mr. Freeze suspect marker, so a swing of 5 points for the Batman crew, and that's another hefty score early doors for a Batman crew, so pretty nasty. But yeah, we'll see what the Mr. Freeze crew is going to do about that now. But they're already down a model which had audacity for the turn, which is a pretty crucial turn though. But like I said, Gordon sacrificed his movement. He may well just have sacrificed more. So we'll see how that goes. I went with Freeze Thug number 1. He's moved through the sewer marker from over here, getting out of dodge, and he's popped himself here. Don't forget he's got a radio, so he's always inspired, which enables him now to use his normal tactical action just to pop down a suspect marker there. Don't forget he's out of ammunition too. During his activation he played Kingdom of Ice. Played at the start of his activation actually. It's the one where they need to cause damage with mod weapons with the cold trait, and it will accrue over the course of time. Might score them those 2 points before the end of the game. Okay, and now back to Batman crew. Okay, we're with the mounted GCPD cop, who just had a pretty good turn. He moved around. Wasn't actually expecting to KO the model, expecting to soften them up to KO her now, but nonetheless he moved up into base contact, and he will arrest her with his special action. He had audacity to play Get Them Off the Streets for 3 points as arresting a model, and that is his turn done. Well, we went with Mr. Beefy Big Axe, so just putting his activation down there, and yeah, that's him done. Right, so don't forget he's got the engineering trait, so it explains how he can do so much. First of all, he popped down a suspect marker, and it's got a countdown on it. A freeze is coming again, so that card's out. So let's see if they can keep it in play this time, but it's looking better each iteration. He then used his axe to finish off Gordon. It was quite easy, just the strength die got through in the end, but it was plenty enough to do that. And oh, speaking of countdown, sorry, I forgot to mention that Wait for Backup has actually percolated through for the Batman crew, so that's another 2 points scored for them, even in Mr. Freeze's go. But yeah, there's a potential 3-pointer just there. Okay, and that concludes the Freeze go for now. Back to Batman. Peacemaker once again decided to forego scoring and for start punching, and so he moved around the boxes, shall we say, the crates, and he entered close combat with Mr. Freeze. Also, don't forget, in close combat with him, Mr. Freeze then can't shoot his gun so effectively, so until he moves away. So there's a bit of tactics in there. Right. Peacemaker put 3 points of effort in. Because Mr. Freeze has the quarry rule, because he killed someone before, check out Peacemaker's updated trait listings. They're really good, and the new quarry rule. It's going to come in big style with the Deacon Blackfire rules, but it's also on Peacemaker. Anyway, Mr. Freeze could not make efforts to defend himself, so a whole bunch of dice hitting on 2s, again due to the quarry counter on him, coming his way, and yeah, lots and lots of hits. Basically 5 hits got through with reinforced gloves. That's 10 points of stun damage. Normally I have to KO anything that moves, but Mr. Freeze is desensitized, so yeah, it was 9 points of stun because Mr. Freeze has got extra willpower because Nora's dead, and 1 point of blood through on the snowman. So yeah, but nonetheless, a pretty brutal round of combat, and just to give them something for it, they scored They Won't See Me Coming as an objective this time. No more playing it as a resource. I'm taking that risk for 1 point. Right, that's the Batman crew's activation done for now. Let's go back to Mr. Freeze. Okay, we went with the engineer. She popped down a suspect marker just here, then moved to be next to this enemy frozen suspect marker again. By putting down the suspect marker, I'm able to play Stay Cool once again for 2 points. There's a text, nice and simple, has been managed. That suspect marker has been quite a piggy bank of points for the Mr. Freeze crew this game. Next up, Eagly activated. I just moved to Peacemaker too far away to inspire him, so stupid me. Anyway, I hopped him over here into base contact with this suspect marker, maybe ready to pick it up next turn. So yeah, we're getting through the activations quite quickly now. Things are starting to open up a lot. Mr. Freeze himself activated. It's the last model for his crew this turn, actually. He stomped over here and then finished off the Horseman, who's been annoying for so long. With a nice big blast from his shot. He played Important Research from his hand for 3 points. We've seen that just a bit before, but yeah, it's looking like it can't fail to score because there are still plenty of models left, plenty of Ice Age locked cards, shall we say, for now. I forgot to mention that Mr. Freeze then cryo-grenaded this suspect marker and Eagly into the bargain, so locking down another snitch card for the Batman crew, which is a crucial 3-point offer. Then I actually finished off all of the Batman crew's activations, so what we have is Oracle moved to be nearer everybody else, just inspire them. The GCPD detective popped down another suspect marker here and then moved into this spot over here to reinforce for the last turn, and finally Harvey Bullock used the sewer marker to pop over here, but then he really didn't have much else to do, unfortunately, because unfortunately for him he can't move to take off any of these suspect markers, and also he tried to draw his gun to possibly score a non-lethal ammo, but he just, because of the fact that he's moved and the cryo armor, he wouldn't end up with any dice, so there really wasn't much in the hand that he could do to score either, so he's here ready for next turn, perhaps to pounce on some opportunity. But that's him done, and that is all the models done for this third phase, round, shall we say. Let's move to the recount phase. Okay, just tidied up everything at the end of phase 3. So for the Batman crew's part, they have managed to score secure the perimeter for 2 points because they have many suspects around the edges of the board. They're actually going to remove the 2 frozen ones. I think they're allowed to remove. Actually, I don't know. No, they're just going to take those 2 off at the back. It's easier for me to think about those 2 back there. That's what they were set up for, so that's what they're used for. So them ones there. Okay, because if they if these ones get revealed, they can unlock the Ice Age cards, and there's a Snitch and another Secure the Perimeter in there, so could do with them. Right, anyway, right, let's see. For the freeze, I forgot to mention that important research was easily scored by them, because there was just no way the Batman crew was going to get rid of all those frozen suspects. And the frozen assets score as well, because the guy with the axe, let's just show his lovely face. The guy with the axe is still alive and holding on to them, so another 5 points for the freeze crew in the end phase as well. Both sides hitting hard. So let's carry on and find out how this game's going to conclude in the last round. Right, into the last round, and it's still all to play for, I feel. Both sides have been hitting each other very, very hard in both the damage and the scoring stakes. Okay, so the Mr. Freeze crew actually won the initiative with a nice 4-1 dice roll this time. About bloody time. Neither side is able to play any cards in the in this final phase, I'm afraid. Both sides pretty much having exhausted their first and second phase players anyway. So it's just down to who got the audacity. Well, for the Mr. Freeze crew, it's every model remaining. And her. For the Batman crew, it was a bit of choice. We went for everyone except Oracle, because she's really not up for scoring an awful lot. There's a lot that needs detectives, and I found Eagly is well positioned this time to actually do something. So yeah, we've got Bullock and the unnamed detective, and Peacemaker and Eagly. There you go. Right, let's get on and see who can score what in this last crucial turn. Mr. Freeze went with Freeze Thug 1 first. He activated, he's moved over here and popped down a suspect and played a Freeze is Coming for the last copy of this card in the deck. When placing a friendly suspect, roll D3+1, blah blah blah. He rolled a 1, so it's a countdown of 2 and 3 points if that card is still in play at the end, and there's very little mobility left on the board for the Batman crew now, so chances are it will work. And that's him done. Incidentally, actually, sorry, this countdown has count, so the other Freeze is Coming has scored for 3 more points for Freeze. Right, over to Batman crew. Well, the Batman crew started with Eagly, who used his special and manipulate action to remove the frozen suspect in play, allowing him to play Comb for Everything as a score for 2 points. He then moved into base contact with Mr. Freeze to upset his aim. So there you go. Next up, big axe guy, he moved and popped down a suspect marker, and it's close enough to this enemy frozen suspect marker to play Stay Cool again for another 2 points for Mr. Freeze. Peacemaker activated, he was over here, he used his gun once again to fire non-lethal ammo at Mr. Freeze. After all was said and done, he activated rapid fire as well. He did 2 hits, rather too many ones, unfortunately there, and only caused 1 point of stun to top Mr. Freeze up, and 3 more points of blood damage, not enough to kill the enemy boss, unfortunately. So there you go. But he did score the 2 points for non-lethal ammo. The Freeze Crow Engineer went next. First of all, she used her handyman skill to pick up the suspect marker, which was next to her finally, allowing her to score Chill Out for 2 more victory points. Yeah, easy peasy. She then moved into base contact with Harvey Bullock and attacked him in close combat, but he was easily able to defend the incoming attacks. She's only attacked 2, so it's never likely to happen, but you never know. The countdown over here has reached 0, so a Freeze is Coming has scored again for another 5 points for the victory. Well, for altogether 5 points this turn. Activation for the Freeze crew. Whoa. Not one to be distracted by the attack of the engineer. Harvey Bullock moved over here, used his detective ability to pick up the friendly frozen suspect marker of his over here, but he needed to do that because he wanted to free up the last of the Ice Age cards. And yes, all of the Batman crew's deck is now back available to him. There's 1 solitary Ice Age card left, I think. Maybe no, there's none. Sorry, there's none. Anyway, that's that, and yeah, it's his turn done. No points scored, but I think it will set them up for more scores later. Well, as you can see, Mr. Freeze has just walked away from Eagly. He has audacity though, so he moved up here. I cryo-grenaded this suspect marker, which froze another Batman crew card, and he played important research from the hand, sorry. Yeah, so the last of that iteration of card, and he then opened fire on the GCP detective, the only model with enough actions to take off this frozen suspect. Yeah, but with the 3 dice, each needing 2s or more, they all hit, and that was enough to do 5 points of damage thanks to the exposure rule, and that kills the GCPD detective for a second time. Wow. Okay, and yeah, that's his activations done. We've just got Oracle to go now, I believe. And for her part, for the final activation, Oracle put down a snitch. There you go, 3 points. That will score because there's nothing the Mr. Freeze crew can do about it. It's kind of annoying that you can just get 3 points for doing that, but hey, that's part of the Batman crew. You know, that's how it's all weighted against. They're all weighted against each other, and yeah, that's that. She's just fortunate she's not too close to this suspect marker to be able to do it, or otherwise, you know. Anyway, that's that. She couldn't stop. Didn't have enough activations to go over and take this one off, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all the activations done. I'm just going to walk back around. We'll get to the recount phase. Yeah, so the important research here does score for Mr. Freeze, and the snitch will score for, what's it called, the Batman crew. We'll just go to the recount phase now, I think, and see if anyone can pick anything else out of the hat. I don't think they can though. Actually, no, I'll do it now quickly. No, the only card that scores in the 4th phase, or that isn't ticking down still, is Secure the Perimeter, and Batman could no longer have enough markers around the outside to satisfy the conditions. So that is the end of the game proper, actually. No point doing a recount phase now. So yeah, that's it. We'll go there. The snitch scored for Batman crew, the important research scored for Mr. Freeze. We'll go to the final scores and final thoughts now. Right, I've got a heaping heavy Batman crew score pile here, so let's get onto it, shall we? So we've got 2, 4, 7, 9, 12, 14, 16, 19, 22, 24, 27, 29, 30, 32, 34, 36, 39. A mighty score. Mighty score. 39 points. Okay. Well, there's still some cards they haven't scored though. You know, there's lockdown ones, but yes, Mr. Freeze hasn't scored his entire deck either, unfortunately for him. So let's see what we've got, because he also has a hefty weight of cards, and most of his cards are, well, like I said, they're on their score pile. So let's go. So 39 to beat. 2, 4, 6, 9, 11, 13, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 29, 32, 34, 37, 39, 42. The meaning of life, the universe and everything. 42. A 42 to 39 victory for Mr. Freeze. Wow, that's pretty close. Literally one card in it. And at various points there were times when the Batman crew could have scored, but the cards they wanted were locked down due to the Ice Age, the rule, which is really good. Just shows how balanced this game is. Yes, I massively enjoyed that. Don't get to play this game as much as I want to anymore. I'm having a bit of a historicals kick at the moment. I go with what I really fancy, but every now and again, good to get the Batman models out, and I really wanted to try out some of these new models as well. You know, overall, the new additions to Mr. Freeze, I am really impressed with. I really like the Engineer. I think she's got great legs on her in terms of actual use, not actual physical legs. I'm not weird. And this guy is a beefcake. Yes. Whether you take him instead of the bears, I'm not sure what's the best ones to go with, but I just like the aesthetic of the Mr. Freeze models overall as opposed to the bears. But, you know, as for Nora, didn't get enough use out of her this time. She's too dangerous to be left alive, unfortunately, which is why Peacemaker singled her out for gunishment. On the Peacemaker end of things, he's a classic beater. Definitely, I can see, you know, why why you would want to take him. He's can certainly dish it out against different crews which don't have armor, etc., etc. He can probably wail on them even more. Yeah. And he's good at range. He's good at punching people. He's got lots of niches, and he comes with an eagle, which is fun. So almost good. I really like the way the police continue to surprise me with how they can interact with each other through the order and the coordination traits and stuff. You can really do some jiggery pokery annoying things to your opponent there. And anyway, I'll stop wittering on now. Please let me know what you thought of the game if you care to. That'd be nice. Hope it was enjoyable for you. I really enjoyed it. Obviously there'll be more Batman to come. There's endless amounts of models and lots more on my painting try as well, so got to get them done too. Right, anyway, I shall leave you now. My name is Shieldwall100. I'll see you next time for more fun and games.